Okay, so how many participants do we have? We have around 15 participants. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to this session on logical reasoning, reasoning matters, and where I'll be telling you how to address the logical reasoning section, mainly for CLAT and ALIT. So, before we start, I would like to tell you that if you have any issues with my any technical issues, suppose like my voice is very low or you're not able to hear me, please feel free to unmute and then interrupt me, because then if I don't check the chat, then you won't be able to hear me for a while and I won't realize that. And even if doubts, if you have any questions, you can put that in the chat and I will look at them from time to time. Okay. So yes, so I'm gonna start. Again, I'll just ask if my screen is visible.
Yes,
Are
Mansi,
you
you can
able to
continue.
see the trans? Okay, fine. Okay. So yes, I'm going to first start by talking about the importance of logical reasoning in the entrance exam. Because before, just a brief. So in wait, if you don't mind, I'm not going to put the transition on, because so that I can switch windows and see your chat box. Okay. So yeah, so firstly on firstly, as it's written on the PPT, it's a big score booster. Considering in CLAT around 20 to 32 questions, if you take an average, it's around 20% of your paper is right there. It's in your hands. And ALET, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you don't have the math section now. So while I've written 35 questions, it's possible that there may be an increase in the number of questions, considering logical reasoning is such an important section. Okay. Thirdly, it's when I say set type of questions, compared to other papers, like when it comes to legal reasoning, you don't know the type of questions exactly, like the paragraph that they give, and then you're supposed to deduce and answer questions based on that. Compared to that, logical reasoning, and especially in ALIT and then in CLAT, it's more predictable. Not the question as such, but the type of questions are predictable. When I move forward, you will come to know, you will realize more about it, why I'm saying that the questions are predictable. So if you know how to solve the type of questions, it will help boost your score. Okay, it's really helpful in that way. So now, basically, logical reasoning is two sections for those who don't know. Okay, before I proceed, could all of you let me know how many of you are giving it in 2022 and how many are giving in 2023? The CLAT. Okay, okay. Guys, will be good if all. Okay, yeah, I'm getting more responses. Okay, so it's quite a mixed batch. Cool. Okay, so that gives me an idea on how to advise you for your preparation. So yeah, the logical reasoning has two components. One is critical reasoning and one is analytical reasoning. So if you've all seen the sample questions, which I hope you have, even if you're giving it in 2023, it's good to keep track of the current paper. In fact, something which I did in my time was that I even gave the paper for the previous batch. I gave my CLAT in 2019. I went to I gave my CLAT in 2020, but I also attempted the paper in 2019. So if you want, but considering COVID, all that, you should keep that in mind. But if you want, you can do that as well. So anyway, CLAT has mainly critical reasoning. As you've all seen, it is one big paragraph of around 300, 350 words. And on the basis of that, there are many questions. There are five, 6 questions. And in ALIT, there's analytical reasoning and critical reasoning. Now in ALET, critical reasoning has a lesser number of questions as compared to analytical reasoning. And it's around, if you look at the core critical reasoning questions, at least in the previous pattern before maths was removed, it was around 5-6 questions of critical reasoning. Otherwise, it's been analytical reasoning for the rest of the paper. So now, because I said logical reasoning, the key, in my opinion, to clear it is to identify the question types and target the question types that you are not that good at to clear. So, like I said, logical reasoning is divided into two sections: critical reasoning and analytical reasoning. Now, analytical reasoning is also very vast, but the reason here, it's because I'm assuming you all have a fair idea that it includes panel mapping arrangement. So when I'm saying when in analytical reasoning, the option talking about panel arrangement mapping are set questions, which means you will get a set of instructions, और उस instructions के basis पे you will get 5-6 questions. Apart from that, you also have individual questions like blood relations, calendar sequence. If anyone wants, kindly let me know in the chat box. I could show you samples of these, or if you're aware, we can go ahead. Analytical reasoning also has a set type of questions. So for those who have seen the paper, there is parallelism. Parallelism in that is basically where the argument is given, okay, and in the options you have to identify which argument is closest, which option is closest to the argument. That is parallelism. Conclusion and argument questions are basically that in that paragraph you have to identify what is the main conclusion or argument. They are actually substitutes. If you notice, if they ask what is the main argument or what is the
Good
conclusion,
evening, ma'am.
yeah, yes, yes. Hi Urvashi, tell me first, please don't call me ma'am, but carry on. Yes, Urvashi, do you have a doubt?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, tell
मैम
me.
क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग में हमें फोकस करना पड़ता है ज्यादा. एनालिटिकल रीजनिंग क्लैट पेपर पैटर्न में देखा था तो नहीं आया था.
नहीं वो, हाँ, तो एज आई एक्सप्लेन, मैंने एक्सप्लेन किया था पहले, एनालिटिकल रीजनिंग इज एन एलिट. तो डज एवरीवन वांट मी टू फोकस ओनली ऑन क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग, देन आई कैन डू दैट. अगर आप चैट में बता सकते हैं हु वांट्स मी टू नॉट टच एनालिटिकल रीजनिंग एट ऑल, शुड आई फोकस ओनली ऑन क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग देन?
मैम क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग.
ओके, बट बाकी सबसे भी पूछ लेते हैं in case they don't want to
Mansi,
do it.
you continue with your strategy, what you have prepared in the PPT, and most of them want both the strategy. So you continue with the same.
Okay, sure, sure. उर्वशी, जब मैं क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग के बारे में व्हेन आई एम टॉकिंग, आप उस पे फोकस कीजिएगा. एनीवे आई एम कवरिंग मोर ऑफ दैट बिकॉज वो मेन है क्लैट के लिए, ठीक है? ओके, सो फाइन.
Yes, ma'am.
अभी मैं, हाँ, ओके, सो हाँ, मैं क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग के बारे में ही बोल रही थी. तो उसमें कंक्लूजन और आर्ग्यूमेंट वैसा एक टाइप का क्वेश्चन है. देयर इज assumption questions in which you are given the arguments, you're given the conclusion, but you're supposed to find out what is being assumed in that particular problem. फिर inference के questions आते हैं, main idea and strengthen and weaken. Okay, if I will talk more in detail, but these are the type of questions that you have. Apart from this, I'm not saying ये सिर्फ यही questions है. They may be one or two additional ones that don't fit into these categories, but वो एग्जाम में भी देख सकते हैं अगर हमें पता है कि मेनली ये ऐसे टाइप के प्रॉब्लम्स हैं. इफ वी आर श्योर, इफ वी नो कि ऐसे क्वेश्चंस होते हैं पेपर में, सो इफ वी टारगेट दीज पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चंस, then it's easy for us in the paper to solve the questions when they come. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about content. Okay, because ये main question होता है हम कहाँ से prepare करें. Okay, तो एक बुक है जो मैंने यूज किया था. इट्स कॉल्ड नेक्स्ट 10 एक्चुअल ऑफिशियल एलसैट प्रेप टेस्ट. नाउ अब आप सोचेंगे कि एलसैट है तो हम एलसैट पेपर नहीं दे रहे हैं. ये हमारा वो इंडियन एलसैट नहीं है, इट्स अनदर एलसैट पेपर. बट आई नो ये बुक थोड़ा महंगा है, तो आई विल स्पीक टू कनिष्क एंड आर्यन एंड सी इफ आई कैन मेक द पीडीएफ्स अवेलेबल फॉर यू. So I will try my best to do that. But those जिनको खरीदना है, तो this book is very helpful because it talks about it gives it's good for critical reasoning and analytical reasoning for those who want it. Okay, critical reasoning में let me tell you, ये वो it's not the Clat pattern, it's more of the NLU Delhi pattern. But what worked for me in my paper is that I used that to develop the critical reasoning skill, and that's how I was able to do the Clat paper. Because if you all see, Clat questions में इतना कंटेंट वो मेनली वो न्यूज़पेपर से आर्टिकल निकालते हैं एंड देन दे फॉर्मुलेट लॉजिकल रीजनिंग क्वेश्चंस. तो यू कांट, इफ बाय यू ट्रैकिंग द न्यूज़पेपर आर्टिकल जैसे, उसमें कुछ फायदा नहीं होने वाला है. तो इट्स बेटर टू डेवलप दैट क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग स्किल. इट्स बेटर टू डेवलप कि आप आर्ग्यूमेंट कैसे आइडेंटिफाई करते हो, आप वीकनेस कैसे निकालते हो आर्ग्यूमेंट में. तो अगर आप वो स्किल डेवलप करते हो, इट विल बिकम इजियर to do it in to attempt the Clat questions which are in passage form of 300 to 400 words. और अभी आप सोचेंगे कि आप 2022 में जो दे रहे हैं that it कम टाइम है. I don't think so, because it's you have to only targetedly practice logical reasoning for some time. Anyway, आप लोग I'm sure will be preparing other subjects, but it's not that the skill cannot be developed in short time. It can be. It will require maximum a month. If you keep practicing the questions, you will be able to get that skill. Okay. Then ALIT past papers. Okay, that is very important for both sections, AR and LR. AR, by the way, is analytical reasoning. LR is CR and AR, which is critical reasoning and analytical reasoning. Okay, so ALIT past papers and sample questions, if you can find any, are very, very important for this perspective. Now Clat जैसे कि मैंने पहले कहा था, you have to, I would suggest you prepare from how you prepare for ALIT. You prepare that because it's relatively shorter questions. So it's easier to develop that skill of critical reasoning if you do ALIT type के questions and then move on to Clat questions. Because difference क्या है दोनों में? ALIT में it's a small paragraph and उसके basis पे options हैं, ठीक है. And Clat में it's a whole passage जिसमें it's possible कि more than one arguments हो. Okay, तो इसीलिए I would suggest कि आप ALIT की आप शुरू करें ALIT की तैयारी से. ALIT मतलब जिस तरह आप ALIT के क्वेश्चंस क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग के आप हैंडल करते हैं, आप उनसे शुरू कीजिए. फिर क्लैट कंटेंट उठाइए. तो उसमें एंड क्लैट में अगेन सॉल्विंग क्लैट पास्ट.
आई हैव क्वेरी.
हाँ
मैम, एलिट ही क्यों उठाना है? मींस एलिट और क्लैट डिफरेंट है क्या? मतलब एलिट इजी है, क्लैट हार्ड है?
नहीं, I'll tell you. तो मेन चीज ये है कि एलिट में जो क्रिटिकल, क्योंकि क्लैट में क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग ही होता है, तो एलिट में क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग, ठीक है, वो पहली बात तो अगर आप पैटर्न देखें, तो मैं एक एग्जांपल ही दिखा देती हूँ, ठीक है. अगर आप ये देखें, ये एलिट का क्वेश्चन है, ठीक है, ये मेरे टाइम का एलिट का क्वेश्चन है. वेट, आपको स्क्रीन दिखाई दे रहा है कि आपको अभी भी पीपीटी ही नजर आ रही है? Aryan?
Mansi, your PPT is visible.
Okay, wait, I'll just share my whole window. 1 minute. Okay, अभी visible है?
Yeah, it is visible.
Okay. देखो, अगर आप देख रहे हैं तो एलिट में ऐसा एक क्वेश्चन आएगा, ऐसे 5-6 क्वेश्चंस आएंगे, ठीक है. और जो मैंने बुक सजेस्ट किया है उसमें भी ऐसे ही टाइप का है. थोड़े उसमें पैराग्राफ होगा और उसमें 5-6 ऐसे इंडिविजुअल क्वेश्चंस है, ठीक है. तो इसमें और अगर मैं ये क्लैट का दिखाऊं, या क्लैट में ऐसे एक पूरा पैराग्राफ है एंड उसके ऊपर 5-6 क्वेश्चंस है। तो आई टेल यू, मैं ये क्यों कह रही हूँ कि आप पहले एलिट के क्वेश्चंस आप करें, क्योंकि जो मैं जो प्रेपरेशन स्ट्रेटेजी बता रही हूँ उसमें एनालिसिस बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट रोल है। क्योंकि अगर आप सेक्शन अटेम्प्ट करते हैं तो आपको बहुत तरह के क्वेश्चंस आएंगे। एक तो वीकनिंग द आर्ग्यूमेंट का आएगा, एक स्ट्रेंथनिंग द आर्ग्यूमेंट का आएगा, अजम्पशंस आएंगे। तो प्रॉब्लम ये हम अक्सर क्या करते हैं, हम सेक्शन पे सेक्शन सॉल्व करते रहते हैं एंड हम वो सेक्शन को एनालाइज नहीं करते। अच्छा, अगर मेरे मिस्टेक्स आ रहे हैं तो किस तरह के प्रॉब्लम्स में आ रहे हैं? इज इट मैं अजम्पशन नहीं निकाल पा रही हूँ आर्ग्यूमेंट में, या मैं वीकनेस नहीं निकाल रही हूँ आर्ग्यूमेंट में, या मैं पैरेललिज्म के जो क्वेश्चंस है मैं वो नहीं कर पा रही हूँ। तो हम सेक्शन सॉल्व करते हैं बट वी डोंट सी कि वेयर आर वी गोइंग रॉन्ग। तो उस हिसाब से व्हाई आई एम सेइंग दैट यू यूज एलिट के क्वेश्चंस इज दैट एलिट के क्वेश्चंस में इट्स इजियर टू गेट दैट पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन राइट। ठीक है, अगर मैंने अटेम्प्ट किया है क्लैट के सेक्शन का और जब पूरे सेक्शन में मुझे पता चलता है कि मेरे अजम्पशन के क्वेश्चंस गलत हो रहे हैं, ठीक है, तो फिर मैं एलिट के पेपर्स या एलिट के जो भी कंटेंट है उसमें जो अजम्पशन के क्वेश्चंस है मैं वो बार बार मैं करूंगी और उससे मेरे अजम्पशन के क्वेश्चंस हैं वो बेटर हो जाएंगे। अगर आप क्लैट का ही निकालेंगे तो आपने देखा क्लैट में पूरे पैराग्राफ्स है और उसके बेसिस पे 5-6 क्वेश्चंस है। सो आप वो टारगेटेड अजम्पशन के क्वेश्चंस आप वैसे नहीं कर पाएंगे। Urvashi, is it clear कि should I explain it in some other way?
Mansi, you can continue with your slides. She is not in the meeting.
Oh, okay. Fine. Okay. ठीक है. So as I was saying, हाँ मैं इस slide पे थी. 10 actual. So this is one book, but I will speak to Kanishk and Aryan if I can make the PDFs available for you. It is a very helpful book for the critical reasoning skill. Okay. And now moving on. Okay. For analytical reasoning, because I'm sure people are interested in giving ALIT. Again, the same book is good for analytical reasoning. बट एडवांटेज इन एनालिटिकल रीजनिंग है कि आई थिंक कंटेंट ज्यादा अवेलेबल है, क्योंकि अगर आप हाई लेवल पेपर्स देखते हो जैसे कि कैट, जीमैट भी होता है बट कैट इज बेटर, इट्स एन इंडियन एग्जाम, सो थोड़ा सिमिलर पैटर्न होगा। तो जब आप कैट देखते हो तो उसके प्रॉब्लम्स क्लैट और उससे हायर होते हैं। तो इफ यू प्रैक्टिस दैट योर एनालिटिकल रीजनिंग इज विल बी सॉर्टेड। तो अगर आपको शुरू करना है तो if you especially 2023 batch, those who are giving it, then it's important to gradually increase your difficulty level. ये नहीं कि पहले ही difficult questions करें। तो what you can do is you can start with CLAT के previous pattern questions थे, वो एलिट के एनालिटिकल रीजनिंग से काफी इजी है, तो यू कैन स्टार्ट विद दैट, then go to ALIT past papers. If you want, you can try this book, which I'm saying. But even if it's fine, if you're not able to get that book, then you can also go for CAT logical reasoning sections. They'll also be very good. Okay. Apart from that, test content you can find online for analytical reasoning, because काफी ज्यादा entrance exams है जो इस पे rely करता है compared to critical reasoning. So content wise ज्यादा easy होगा to find analytical reasoning content. ठीक है, अभी I am going to talk about the tips in the preparation. तो मेरे दो tips में दो components हैं, एक तो है for the preparation and एक है in the examination. Okay, so this is true for even for 2022 and 2023. Okay, only 2023 अगर आप शुरू में टाइम बाउंड नहीं करना चाहते हो तो इट्स फाइन, आप पहले क्वेश्चंस you focus on solving the questions, and then you start timing yourself and doing, because Clat ALIT is a time bound exam. So if you don't get the time, eventually if you don't get the timing right, then फिर बहुत प्रॉब्लम होगा पेपर में, बिकॉज अगर आप प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हो, ठीक है, ये एक टिप अभी मैं बाद में भी बताने वाली थी, बट आई विल टॉक अबाउट इट नाउ. व्हेन यू आर प्रैक्टिसिंग, ओके, always budget that in the paper you will take more time, because what happens is जब आप पेपर दे रहे हो, इतना प्रेशर होता है, इतना स्ट्रेस होता है at that time. तो when that happens, the time you take for each question, at least for me, it increases. So you should always keep that in mind. अगर मैं mocks में मुझे इतना time लग रहा है, try to do it as fast as possible. ओके, सो दैट मॉक्स में अगर आपका टाइम बच भी रहा है तो वो बहुत अच्छा है, अच्छी बात है, क्योंकि पेपर में आपका वो टाइम भी यूज हो जाएगा. ओके, सो एनीवे, सो व्हाट आई वाज सेइंग इज कि जो 2023 में दे रहे हैं, मे बी दे कैन स्टार्ट बाय गेटिंग क्वेश्चन एक्यूरेसी एंड देन गोइंग टाइम बाउंड. और जो 2022 में दे रहे हैं, आई फील बाय नाउ आपको यू शुड बी working on your time, doing it in the time limit. That should be a part of your practice now. Okay, anyways, so first you will attempt your CR, AR, LR section. अगर आप 2022 में दे रहे हैं तो I'm sure आपने mocks शुरू किए होंगे. तो anyway, you can attempt even the mocks, okay? Then you will have to identify the type of questions. Like I said, अगर आपने पेपर दिया, फिर उसके बाद आप एनालाइज करने आप बैठ जाओ, ठीक है, बिकॉज अगर आप हम कहते हैं कि रोज मॉक्स दो और वो सब, बट अगर आपको मॉक्स या एलआर सेक्शन जो भी आप वो एनालाइज नहीं करोगे कि आप कहाँ गलत जा रहे हो, तो उस मॉक देने का कोई पॉइंट नहीं रहेगा. सो इंस्टेड ऑफ गिविंग, इवन इफ यू आर गिविंग एवरी डे, इंस्टेड ऑफ गिविंग एवरी डे, इट विल बी बेटर कि आप थोड़ा स्पेस आउट करके दो, और उस टाइम पे आप अपने गलतियों पे आप वर्क करो और आप एनालाइज करो कि आप कहाँ गलत जा रहे हो, ठीक है. सो नाउ वी हैव द फर्स्ट यू अटेम्प्ट द CR, AR, LR सेक्शन और द मॉक, ठीक है. फिर आप क्वेश्चन आइडेंटिफाई करो, ठीक है, कि अच्छा ये क्वेश्चन अजम्पशन का है, ये कंक्लूजन वीकन द कंक्लूजन का है, ये वीकन या स्ट्रेंथन द आर्गुमेंट का है, ठीक है. फिर आप देखो कि आपके कौन से उसमें क्वेश्चंस गलत गए, आपके कौन से टाइप के क्वेश्चंस गलत जा रहे हैं. दिस इज इवन ट्रू फॉर एनालिटिकल रीजनिंग, ओके. अगर आप देख रहे हो कि नहीं मेरे ब्लड रिलेशंस के क्वेश्चंस गलत जा रहे हैं, तो आप उस पे फोकस करो. या आपको लग रहा है कि क्लॉक्स, एवरीवन नो, आई होप एवरीवन नोज व्हाट इज क्लॉक्स. दीज आर ऑल लॉजिकल रीजनिंग टॉपिक्स. तो अगर आपके क्लॉक्स में अगर आपका कोई प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है, तो देन यू विल प्रैक्टिस ओनली प्रैक्टिस दोज क्वेश्चंस, ठीक है. तो द आइडिया, द की इन द प्रिपरेशन फॉर लॉजिकल रीजनिंग, बिकॉज you know, if you know the type of questions that are there, what you can do is you have to analyze, see where you're going wrong, and then pay more attention to those questions. ऐसा नहीं है कि बाकी sections का ध्यान ही मत दो, but you need to pay more attention to these questions till and parallelly work on other sections, okay. Now this is a general tip for all sections. If those who attended there was a specific section also for a specific session also for this, and I think this may have even been covered in the English section, कि you need to enhance your reading speed, and not just reading and understanding. तो because आपने देखा होगा क्लैट में अब इतना रीडिंग इंटेंसिव हो गया है कि अगर आपकी रीडिंग स्पीड अच्छी नहीं है, तो इट कैन रियली, एंड अगेन क्लैट इज अ टाइम बाउंड एग्जाम, तो अगर आपकी रीडिंग स्पीड अच्छी नहीं है, इवन लॉजिकल रीजनिंग इज डिपेंडेंट ऑन दिस, ओके. एंड लॉजिकल रीजनिंग में इट्स ऑल्सो रीडिंग एंड कॉम्प्रिहेंशन. बाय कॉम्प्रिहेंशन आई मीन अंडरस्टैंडिंग. ऐसा नहीं कि पूरा पढ़ लिया और फिर जब क्वेश्चंस देखिए अगेन एंड अगेन यू आर रेफरिंग टू द पैराग्राफ. नो, once you read it, you should have, especially लॉजिकल रीजनिंग में अगर आपने सैम्पल क्वेश्चंस देखे होंगे, देयर इज दिस वेरी ऑफन आस्क्ड क्वेश्चन, स्पेशली इन क्लैट, व्हिच इज व्हाट इज द मेन आइडिया, what is the main conclusion, what is the main idea. So in main idea you need the entire gist of the passage, the 300 word passage. So because of that what happens is sometimes when you don't read properly and understand in the first attempt, फिर आपको वापस आप रेफर करेंगे और उसमें आपका टाइम वेस्ट हो जाएगा. So in such a case, do not do not in such a scenario, do not really you please work on your reading speed. That will really help you all. Okay, now the other point in preparation is simulate your exam conditions. By that I mean, agar exact जो especially 2022 के लिए this is very relevant. आपके जो एग्जाम्स है प्लीज डू इट टाइम बाउंड, डोंट गिव एनी लीवे. ओके, जब आप मॉक्स अटेम्प्ट कर रहे हो, आपने जो प्लान किया कि मैं ये टाइम इस सेक्शन पे लगाऊंगी, या आई विल डू दिस ऑर्डर, जो सेक्शंस है आपका, आपने जो ऑर्डर डिसाइड किया है, प्लीज डू इट strictly, be disciplined in that. And even one more thing that I would suggest you do is that especially in analytical reasoning, आपको अगर मैपिंग का क्वेश्चन है या अरेंजमेंट, सर्कुलर वैसे क्वेश्चंस है ना कि ए बी सी डी ई एफ आर सिटिंग ऑन अ टेबल, ए इज सिटिंग टू द राइट ऑफ बी, सो दोज आर कॉल्ड अरेंजमेंट क्वेश्चंस. सो वैसे क्वेश्चंस में you need a lot of you need a pen and paper to sit and whatever draw out the arrangement and fix the arrangement. तो as far as I remember, आपको A-Lit में आपको रफ शीट्स मिलेंगे, बट अगेन लिमिटेड होंगे. यू विल गेट आई थिंक 1 or 2. तो अगर आप है, if you're used to writing it in notebooks and using up a lot of paper, stop doing that from now. Keep it concise. तो ऐसे कुछ चीजें you should keep in mind so that so that you can simulate the exam condition. So जब आप एग्जाम में बैठे हो, so it doesn't become difficult कि मैंने की जगह कम हो रही है, I'm not able to think with that less space. So all that you should really simulate. Okay, now okay, exam tips. Okay, these are fewer in number because at the end आपको exam देना है, and many a times जो मेरे लिए what works for me does not work for you, but I will still give you what I felt was good, what worked for me. So Clat के लिए it requires this logical reasoning, requires you to read a lot, comprehend a lot. तो थोड़ा वो thinking and mental effort use होता है. But अगर आप देखो तो legal reasoning है, उसमें ज्यादा पढ़ना पड़ता है. तो उस हिसाब से आप अपना ये लॉजिकल रीजनिंग आप स्ट्रेटेजिकली आप सेक्शन प्लेस करो, ठीक है, अकॉर्डिंग टू whether, see for example, when I gave the Clat, for me I needed some time to get my focus. So before I went to before I went to legal reasoning, I placed logical reasoning before it, so that my mind was already tuned to getting inference. And then when I did the legal reasoning, my mind was able to work better. That was my decision. It's totally your decision. That's why whenever you attempt mocks, right, especially now those who have not done it from the 2022 they still have time to try this, because I'm sure आप अभी फिर ज्यादा mocks देने लगोगे closer to the exam. तो उसमें आप ट्राई करना विथ डिफरेंट, पहले आप जीके, एक टेस्ट में आप पहले जीके करना, फिर देन लॉजिकल रीजनिंग, लीगल रीजनिंग, मैथ्स, इंग्लिश. सेकंड पेपर में आप थोड़ा वो उस ऑर्डर को चेंज करना. फाइंड योर करेक्ट what works for you, what order works for you, find that and that will be helpful. Okay, now A-Lit. So A-Lit में my key takeaway is that in analytical reasoning sections, okay, what happens is many a times अगर आपने कुछ एक क्वेश्चन, आपने एक टाइप का क्वेश्चन जैसे मैपिंग हुआ, अरेंजमेंट, आपने वो प्रैक्टिस किया है, अक्सर क्या होता है एग्जाम में आप उसको लेके आप थोड़ा इमोशनल हो जाते हो कि मैंने इतने क्वेश्चन सॉल्व किए थे इसमें, ये तो मैं करके ही रहूंगी. ओके, या क्या ये इतने 5-6 मार्क्स है इसमें, तो आई विल सॉल्व इट फॉर श्योर. बट व्हाट हैपेंस इज आप वो सॉल्व कर रहे हो, समटाइम्स उस एग्जाम के प्रेशर में आप वो इतना टाइम लगाते हैं उसमें कि यू लीव अदर क्वेश्चंस. Okay, so what you do is, mostly if you have practiced a lot, from what I have learned, ALET K, you have ALET, especially analytical reasoning and the set questions, which are like 5, 6, mapping, arrangement, and all. They, if you keep practicing those questions and you identify how to do those questions, it is not that difficult in the paper. But you have to practice and get a gauge on all those type of questions, which is why ALET past papers are very important. Okay, so if you do that, you will be able to get it in the exam, but sometimes because of the pressure at that moment you may not get it. So temporarily उसे छोड़ दो, remember to come back to it. I know लोग कहते हैं कि हमने छोड़ दिया तो हम वापस उस पे अब हम भूल जाते हैं, but keep it in mind कि you have to come back to that and attempt it. Now still if you're not able to attempt it, maybe it's a type of question you haven't covered. In that case, it's good you are prioritizing other questions. See, now I know CLAT में आपको maximum, CLAT ALET में आपको maximum marks मिलने like your attempt should be to attempt all questions well and all, but आपको थोड़ा वो strategy ध्यान में रखना है. अगर आपको question नहीं आ रहा है and you feel कि वो नहीं आएगा question, so you rather leave that question and go to some other question that is probably that you will solve. Your aim is to get the maximum marks possible, not sit and say कि मैंने ऐसे questions practice किए थे तो मुझे आने चाहिए, मैं ये attempt करूंगी ही करूंगी. No, you have to be very practical about attempting your paper. Okay, now apart from this, critical reasoning में, okay, critical reasoning में, this is very important. Okay, is that mark the closest option. वो अक्सर क्या होता है कि they give it in the paper. It's written, it's given in the question कि mark the closest option, and but many a times we don't consider it because ऐसे that's why in critical reasoning it is important to read all the options, because it is possible that there are two options mostly that will be similar. So on that time you need to take a call whether which choice to take, because so for example, I'll show you this question, okay, and just a small exercise, it'll be good if you can help me with this. So I have already identified the argument. So this is also very important for, okay, 2023 people at this stage, some may not have even started preparation. So critical reasoning, first thing is you have to understand what is the argument and what is the reasoning. Okay, so this is the first question. If all of you could, in the chat box, because I want to make this a bit interactive, tell me what do you think would be the answer in this. Okay, sorry, I'll just share it.
Mansi, I would request you to little bit zoom the screen.
Okay, sure. Wait, sorry, I'll just do that. Okay, yeah. Is this better?
Yeah.
Okay. So Aryan, just let me know when there are many answers in the chat, then I'll change the screen because then I won't, then the question will go. That's
Okay,
the
sure.
issue. Aryan, like, have people responded? If not, I can just explain it. It's fine.
We are getting responses. It is started now.
Okay, okay. Then we should wait. It's
Yeah.
fine.
So I guess you can continue. Most of them has marked D, and I guess one or two have marked B or something. You can check it.
Okay, yes. Let me just check. Okay, A. Okay. So, okay. So, sorry, I've not been seeing the chat. Suddenly, I realized it was not scrolled. Okay, thank you for helping me, Aryan, with that. Anyway, so incidentally, the option from the answer key that I have checked is B. Okay, so I'll just explain. So this is what comes, right? The most doubt. Okay, many a times we just get confused because sometimes what happens is, okay, I'll just explain this problem. So in this, basically they are saying that the therapists are there. They have conducted a study on delinquent juveniles, which is basically translate to badmash bacche. ठीक है? तो ये बदमाश बच्चे जो हैं, so they are trying to analyze them and see कि क्या factors है that contributes to their badmash behavior. Okay, so now after this, now they have basically found that in great majority of the cases, in jo badmash bache hain, in most of the cases, that on an average basically 4 times a week the parents met. Okay, so from this from this they have determined that a failure to spend time is the major factor. Okay, so now, why it is B, I'll tell you, is that people in unhappy families tend to express their displeasure by. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay, okay. I am audible. Okay, good. Sorry, I think I missed sharing the screen. Yeah, I hope the screen is visible.
Yeah, Mansi, you can continue.
Yeah, okay. So basically, in this, many here, when they're talking about people in unhappy families tend to express their displeasure by avoiding contact with each other when possible. So, firstly, even I was quite surprised to hear get this question, right? My guess was also, so that's why I'm saying critical reasoning is a bit confusing, right? Okay, so one of you marked A. So, A basically says parents and children in the study who reported that they met each other more than 4 times per week also indicated that they tended to perceive these relationships healthy. So, why this will not be the correct answer is that you are not, see, I said the argument is what failure to spend time together is the major factor leading to delinquency. So when you're weakening the argument, you have to weaken this argument, something that says that failure to spend time is not the major leading factor. Okay, so that is the main thing you have to fail the argument at. So in the first option, you are basically saying that jo you're actually strengthening the argument. If you look at it, you're saying that they met each other more than 4 times. Whoever they met, they used to have healthy relations. You're actually strengthening. This is another thing which actually, if you see my tip, which I have to, now that it has come, I have to tell you, read the question properly, especially in critical reasoning. Problem is there will be a, okay, which of this does not weaken the argument, which of this weakens the argument, which of this strengthens, which of this least weakens. So they play a lot with words, so you have to read which particular argument is there. A lot of people had a had a thing with D. Okay, so again D also is wrong. Why? Because you are again not targeting कि failure to spend time together with children is a major factor. You are not saying कि कोई और factor है or something like that. You are basically saying that जो fewer times मिलते थे, they also have a strong bonding. So the problem is you're not again targeting this. Now I know B what happens is it's a bit vague, which is why I have taken this question. Okay, I have specifically taken this question because of this, because this what it's reversing it. Okay, they are saying that they are unhappy. Okay, and there is already delinquency because of which they are not meeting. They reverse kar raha hai. They are not saying failure to spend time together is a major factor leading. They are reversing, saying delinquency is a major factor that prevents them from spending time to each other. Okay, so this was a typical question where you have to read all the options. Many a times आप क्या conclude करोगे कि okay, spending time together and delinquency, these two things should be there in the options. Not necessarily, because again, which would cast most doubt. So always, that is one thing you have to keep in mind in critical reasoning, where you have to mark the closest option. Even if it doesn't seem fully right, you have to analyze all the options and mark the closest option. Okay, apart from this, again, like I said, reading the question is very important. Okay, now I thought I would reserve 15 minutes for question and answers, because even while I have covered, I don't think I would have covered everything. It depends on what you want to see, what you want to ask me. So yes, we have question and answers. I encourage you, however